Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we take a look at the Highland Park 40-year-old, 48.3% ABV, bottled in 2008. Dustin. Wow. We were able to get a sample of this bad boy from quickly becoming my favorite person in Minnesota. And he sent this to us. He finally broke open his 2008 bottle of Highland Park 40. It was pictured earlier when we were addressing this, so that's the actual bottle that opened. This isn't one of the newer Highland Park 40s. This isn't even the old legend, the 47.5. This is the old 1960s distillate, 48.3%.
I was about to say, you do the math.
Highland Park 40.
68 distillate.
60, at least 68 distillate.
Yeah, it could be older.
Natural color, unchilled, filtered. Glorious ABV, Dustin.
All sherry, I assume.
All refill casks.
All refill, okay.
I have no idea.
Nice color.
Looks beautiful. Dustin, I had a Highland Park 40 for my 40th birthday 7 years ago, but it was the 47.5. When I saw someone had the 48.3, called you, called my boss, like, look what we got. Let's get to it.
I sent the text back instantly. Do it.
Ooh.
So here's a note, Mike, I've never said or thought before.
Give it to me.
I'm getting hints of like a swimming pool here.
Swimming pool? Chlorine or salt?
Chlorine, but like not like you're right in the pool, but like you're outside around a pool. Like some of it's the chlorine,
so just
some of it's like
feel good sunshine.
Some of it's the sunshine, some of it's the grass around the place. Maybe they just fresh cut.
I think you have properly encompassed the overall smell of this dram here, Dustin, because this smells incredible.
It is so unique, though. Like I've never thought those words before.
All right, let me try to get myself together here. It's the first time I'm smelling it, so sorry if I.
Yeah, no, I mean this is incredibly unique. I mean we've had the 30, we've had the 25, we've had multiple 25s. We've brought you guys quite a few other special editions. We've brought you 3 different 21s.
I've had a 40 before.
This has a very unique nose.
This is just like, what I'm getting instantly is tangerine oil. So I mean, it's a fruit. It's definitely an orangish fruit, but it's rich. Remember Lagavulin White Horse 12 from the 60s that we did? Remember that like concentrated like lemon and orange? Like this is concentrated tangerine.
I'm honestly almost thinking more like if you had like a little bit of like some kind of orange smelling car, like some kind of car oil that was orange flavored around some gasoline.
The wood note on this is, like, it's a wood note more than smoke, because I know Highland Park smoke. This is definitely a wood note.
The peat on this is incredibly unique.
It's still there. It's like a honey peat. It's like a honey peat means a smoky wood note.
I don't have words for the peat here.
It's almost like you lit an old church on fire and the furniture polish and everything's burning.
It's an incredibly dirty peat for Highland Park.
Man, there's herb in this.
Yeah, some sage.
Yeah.
Hint of garlic. Hint of mint.
Hint of mint.
This actually gives me a little bit of a hint of this experimental 100% malted rye that was made at Yellowstone that gave me like this almost like salad dressing type element. Like it's got a drop of that in here.
The wood and the tropical fruit, the tropical citrus fruit notes, orange citrus fruit notes are just really, really unique.
Baker's chocolate along with milk chocolate, it completely in here.
I mean, you could say like an orange furniture polish, but it's so much more alive than that.
It's more like, again, it's something that would be in your car. Like, maybe it's a leather cleaner, maybe it's
Liars.
I feel like it's something maybe you put on your wheels. That's what it is. Something you put on your wheels, and they've been smoking outside. You've been on the track.
Yeah, I mean, grilled tangerine on a barbecue pit. I've said Hawaiian barbecue a few times in whiskey reviews, so some type of Hawaiian barbecue maybe.
Yeah, the funkiness and weirdness is starting to settle a bit here for me, Mike, and I'm starting to really pick up just a nice sweetness and chocolate note. Starting to pick up some more like some vanilla, French vanilla. Picking up a little bit, something hinting more towards the red fruits, kind of like your more classic sherry notes coming through a little bit.
There is a leathery note to it. I mean, I guess sort of I would say a raisin. Some dehydrated, darker, leathery fruit.
The oak notes are not that overpowering here for 40 at all.
They're not overpowering, but man, it's a deep, rich wood note to this.
There's a nice oak, but I mean, you get this level of oak on a 20-year-old whiskey. It's not 40-year-old like intensity of oak. This isn't the Linkwood 37 where it was just heavy oak.
It's heavy oak, but it's a different oak than, say, a Linkwood 37. You're right. It does come off far snappier than, which I guess you would assume in 40 years would give you.
Plenty of oak here. I'm not trying to dismiss that there's oak, but it's, again, a 20-something-year-old whiskey could have this level of oak. Now, again, these are probably sherry butts, bigger, less contact, yada, yada, yada. Orkney is a little further north, I think, than some of the other distilleries.
Almost every one of them, I would imagine.
Yeah, so that, again, slows the aging process, a little less, contact.
I agree. I mean, I haven't had that many 40-year-old whiskeys, but it just seems snappy and lively.
It comes off a little lighter in the oak notes than even some of the 30 years I've had, which is where I'm kind of... I don't know that this has much more oak. I think the change in oak from the 25 to the 30 was greater than the 30 to the 40, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not an incredibly aromatic whiskey either. It's, B plus in terms of level of aromatics. Now, it's unique, it's complex, and it's special, but it's not like punch you in the face with intensity and richness. I'm getting more of that honey. Yeah, lots and lots of sweet honey and just nice, just fruity, citrusy malts coming through now. And now I'm back to getting just a wallop of that peat. Gasoline peat.
So good I don't want to swallow. Instantly, that tangerine note's so present. Tangerine sweetness instantly sachets into a beautiful, beautiful, rich honey, smoke, wood, leather. The peat note is a compliment. It gives me vibes of that Lagavulin White Horse 12, that concentrated orange note. Man, it is so thick on the. It's one of the thicker mouthfeels. It just sticks to you. I mean, not quite Lagavulin 20 from 2007, where it's so woody like that, but man, you really get the wood on the palate. It feels like 40-year-old whiskey now. Dustin, what are you picking up?
On arrival, Mike, you nailed it with that orange note. Now, the orange is on the nose, but for me, Mike, it was a little bit more subdued than it was to you.
It's a bit of subdued nose for
there was other things. No, I just mean the orange.
Yeah.
I was focusing on other things. Orange was just a nice compliment.
Right
you
away.
seem to make it more of your focus. On the palate, orange is initially everything. Mm-hmm. It's straight up orange with a little bit of the honeycomb itself is kind of coming in there, a little bit of oak note. Very pleasant, bright, a little simple, not going to impress you. Then you swirl it around, you bring it back and you swallow, Mike, and then in comes this swirling buzzsaw of honey, honeycomb, wood, light smoked peat. And it literally feels like your mouth has this spinning thing where you're just getting waves of different flavors, just one after the other.
It's like a creamsicle. It's like a whirlpool.
Yeah, I mean it's just whacking you with all kinds of stuff. And I'm picturing images in my head as I'm tasting this with how the whiskey's playing with my mouth. It's really exciting, really interesting, really good. Finish mostly. I'm just getting kind of the oak tannins right now, Mike. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get this one more sip here, neat, before I go in with water. Just to try to make sure, because let me tell you, it was a roller coaster here, guys. It started off, while I say it's a little simple, I mean, I am putting it by the 40-year-old whiskey standards, but, I mean, you've got to remember, it was still exceptional up front. That orange note was beautiful. The honey, incredible. That little bit of oak, wood note, excellent. And then the transition when you swallow was just, wow. But I am kind of feeling like there should be one more transition, and maybe I missed. I'm going to go back in one more time. See if I get it this time.
The cinnamon swell on the mid to late palate, on the back of the tongue. I went again neat. It's so dense. The oil from that tangerine infects just every pores and every taste bud of your mouth. But then just, man, that beautiful honey, wood chips, and smoke come back in. Vanilla, you're right, a bit simple. Cinnamon swells really high now, and it's right at the end of the tips of the cinnamon swirl. It's just a little bit of herbs, a little bit of soft herb.
Yeah, I mean it's almost got a little bit of like
garden.
it's got like an herb, like not garlic bread, but herb bread, kind of thing. At
Rosemary or something.
Yeah, a little rosemary and sage.
Oh man, you're right. The finish is far more coating than it is just flavor rolling.
Or sometimes whiskeys will start getting really hot from those spices. This one stops short of that. I'm a little disappointed on the finish. I gotta say, for a 40-year-old whiskey, that's where I'm a little unimpressed right now.
It's there, but usually Highland Park to me is like real smoky and then dry and then smoky and then dry. And I'm not getting the drying note to this at all. Like it stays very juicy.
I'm a little bit dried on the finish right now.
Not like a traditional Highland Park.
It's not an amped up version of what we've had. This is its own beast.
I agree.
This is completely its own whiskey.
Oh man. And now with some water, because I took 2 sips neat. Now I'm getting a bit of that bitter chocolate with a few drops of water. That's really the only thing that's changing a lot on the nose.
I'm getting a little bit of a cinnamon roll now. I may have put a little more water than you did. I went a little heavy.
Mine's a little low too. Took 2 big wallops.
Yeah,
that was a good size sample.
Yeah, it really was. And I wanted to kind of bring this thing out, kind of tease it a little bit. So I put a little bit of water, put a little extra water in there because I actually, for some reason, I think water's going to like help this thing. I don't know what makes me think it. It's just one of those, it's 40 years old. I bet you a little bit of water is really going to help.
Man, a tangerine note I will always remember. Will be the tangerine that I will always grade other whiskeys on as far as the tangerine note.
The funk, the swimming pool have subsided a little bit. The oak has kind of come down. Now the tangerine is a little bit more front and center with that cinnamon roll, a little bit of chocolate. Honey's there, but it's not as central either.
Great wood note. Yeah, the honey note's really, it's just a small complement to the other parts, which is rare for Highland Park.
Yeah, that is a nice oak note, you're right.
I would love to have a bottle of this. I kicked around buying this bottle so many times. I think when I could get it was $2,800 or something like that. I was like, nah, it's ridiculous. Now it's $4,500 or something.
Okay, I like what water did to this a lot.
Give it to me, Dustin. It's a good sign.
It brought up the sweetness up front, which made it a more enjoyable, more exciting arrival. Oh, now I'm getting that three-part wave. I didn't get the spinning explosion as much when I swallowed, but I got the nice wood, rich maturity. The age came through, a little bit of leather. Much more like subdued. It just kind of brought in oak. And now I'm getting like really rich spices. I'm getting a little bit more of the peat. The peat on this one is not, this is probably the most, I don't want to say subtle peat from Highland Park, but it's the most integrated. And it's the hardest one to really pick apart.
What do you expect after 40 years?
Well, I mean,
You might be getting all wood smoke at this point.
Well, I mean, with 40 years, what happens is the peat doesn't go away. It integrates with the other elements here. The problem is I'm struggling because that heather honey note and that orange citrus note, along with the oak tannins, they all kind of just have a peat element to them now. Like it's a slightly peated honey. It's a slightly peated citrus, which, by the way, is a delicious thing.
It's like trying to keep mud off you if you're running through a field during a pouring rainstorm. Like it's getting on your pants, your jacket, your shoes.
Yeah. I will say this. I mean, my mouth is left with a really rich, coated. I'm smelling and tasting the whiskey as I talk here.
Yep. It stays with you. It's a different linger. It's a different finish.
Yeah.
But it's a dense finish.
It's not giving me my favorite kind of finish, but this is not a subtle whiskey. It's staying there. It's bold. 48%. It's a very pleasant ABV. Man. Oh, man.
They did sweeten it up with water. They did. It unloosened it quite a bit.
Yeah.
48.3 is a big ABV.
Well, 40 years is going to be... I mean, that's a lot of age. Like, that's going to make it hard to dissect a whiskey. Like, it's going to... I mean, it takes forever to open up in the glasses. We don't pour these an hour or two before we get into them usually because...
Yeah, it was open 10 minutes. Sometimes we wait an hour, but not today.
Yeah, we wanted to get into it, and then, we know our reviews are going to take 30 minutes to get through something like this.
The bubblegum's coming up now. Sugary bubblegum.
Bubblegum is here for sure.
You're right, with water it takes more things. But here's the thing. anytime water kind of opens up, gives you a few more things, that just means that that ABV was so dense. And you and I were surprised with the same distillery as a 25-year age statement, how we preferred the nose on the 45.7 compared to the 48%, 48.1. And we were like, hey, well, you know, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us because we assumed the 48.1 would just be a lot better. Now, we're going to get to the cask strength 25 pretty soon on Whiskey Review 500, but, you know, just because it has a higher ABV doesn't mean that a cask strength might not be your favorite version of the whiskey. This one, in a lot of ways, water really helped it.
It did a lot here.
It took it from a whiskey that was enjoyable to me, and if you like dense, rich, dark flavors, you're going to be fine, to a probably higher score of a whiskey. I'm probably going to score it higher now because of the water. On that note, Dustin.
You were not going to like the score I was going to give it before water.
On that note, Dustin, let me start.
Right ahead.
I'm going to give it a 92. I was thinking more 91 before water, but water added at least a point for me. Maybe 2, actually. I was thinking 90, 91 before water, but with the water, this really brings almost everything that I really like about Highland Park into the forefront. I love the orange note. It does an orange note as well as it ever does. I love the slight heather honey smoke, a little bit of honey, and I love a little bit of wood from an extremely old whiskey. Now, this isn't the sherry bomb that the 25s are, and this isn't the balanced oak fruit basket that the 30 is. But this in its own way is a great whiskey. I'm going to call it a 92. I've rated the 30 higher. I still would probably say that's an accurate statement. I still like this whiskey a lot. 92.
Fair enough. I'm going to give this a 90. I think the 25 and the 30 are better whiskeys. I think this is great whiskey. I just went back for another little sip there, and it's getting better and better. So, you know, I may wait 10 minutes here and decide if I want to go to 91, but I think, honestly, it's a little simple. I want either a little more of the sherry notes, or I want a little more of that oak presence. As beautiful as the oak is in here, I want more of it. It's not giving me enough oak. It's kind of like, it's hovering between two really nice spots. It's great, but it's not.
Doesn't reach either for you?
It's missing those legendary statuses. I definitely think Lafroig 2018 is a point higher than this.
Whew.
That's
Really?
why that's a 91. This is a 90.
I agree that whiskey's a 91, and I still think this is whiskey's a 92. Those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try the 2008 Highland Park 40-year-old 48.3%, we would love to know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Are we wrong? No, on the orange note, not that tangerine note. That was too damn obvious.
Oh, man. Tell you what, though,
Orange in a glass.
the nose on this is 92, 93.
Am I too impressed by age? Dustin surely isn't. You're not 40 yet, though.
I'm not.
You know what it takes to get there, Dustin. Grit, determination, and being born in the 70s. Anyway, if you guys ain't tried this one, we'd love to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time.
Happy Mike's delusional drinking.
Maybe I didn't do the math right. We'll see you next time.